Why have people worshipped gold for centuries? How much of this shiny metal has been pulled from the earth? And how much treasure could your pet actually hold? How did the Spanish wipe out nations and wreck their economy for it? Gold rushes, wild highs, and brutal crashes. But did we have outbreaks here at home? This is History Adventures, and today's our golden episode. Not an anniversary, just a shiny one. It's all about the most wanted metal and how it really reshaped the world. Gold. It sparked wars, toppled civilizations, and became the backbone of entire economies. It pushed humanity forward, always linked to wealth, dominance, and raw power. And we don't even have to go far. Even today, on YouTube, fame still shines proudly as a golden play button. We don't have one just yet, but with your help, we totally could. According to our stats, 14% of everyone watching this video still isn't subscribed to the channel. Guys, hit that subscribe button right now. I really want that gold, and I'm not joking. Gold plays an important role in the world's major religions: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. It's the metal of the gods, with some truly unique properties. It doesn't dissolve except in aqua regia, and no, don't drink that. It doesn't rust, doesn't change, doesn't lose its shine. On top of that, gold is limited and incredibly hard to mine. And the harder something is to get, the more people want it. Gold surrounds us everywhere, from chemical plants and defense systems to skincare, beauty, and fine jewelry. It's even tucked inside the tech we use every day. So how did its whole incredible journey start? Some of the earliest known gold miners were the Egyptians. 5,000 years ago, they searched for it in Nubia and the mountains between the Red Sea and the Nile. Their mining zone stretched nearly 1,000 kilometers. That's like going from New York to Chicago, just so you get the scale. And they had a really massive stash. By the time Rome took over, the Egyptians had pulled out around 6,000 tons of gold. The Egyptians built a massive industry. Thousands of slaves worked day and night, digging and refining the metal, but it was only the rulers who could own it. It was for the chosen ones. Gold was deeply tied to the sun, seen as the living light of the god Ra himself. And here's a fun fact. In ancient Egypt, barley was the actual currency. That's right. Gold wasn't money. It was a sacred material used for beauty and glory. They crafted incredible jewelry, decorated clothes, and made some of the most gorgeous ritual artifacts the world had ever seen. Egyptian goldsmiths made an ultra-thin gold foil for divine-looking art. This kind of foil is called gold leaf. Just imagine, a piece of gold the size of a matchbox can be stretched into a layer covering 400 square meters. That's almost the size of a tennis court, which is over 600 square meters. And just imagine, 100 incredibly tiny nanometers, thinner than a human hair. Gold leaf is everywhere, on church domes, paintings, icons, even skincare. You'll see it in temples, museums, bakeries, and salons. But anyway, I'm getting off track. The Romans took gold to a whole new level. By the mid-2nd century BC, most of the Mediterranean and the Balkans had become Roman provinces. And by the start of the Common Era, they controlled nearly all the major gold mining regions known at the time. Ancient Rome was obsessed with jewelry. During the Empire, when gold flowed freely, Roman ladies decked themselves out, head to toe, in glittering accessories. Ever wondered where the word money comes from? Yep. It's Roman too. Right next to the temple of the goddess Juno Moneta, Moneta meaning advisor or warner, they had busy workshops where shiny gold coins were minted, so the name came directly from the place where they were made. Rome first minted gold coins in 215 BC to help finance the Second Punic War against Carthage. And if you're curious about the first one, I talked all about it back in the Hannibal episode. At its peak, Rome was mining up to tens of thousands of kilos of gold each year, an enormous output by any standard. But by the 4th century, things began to fall apart. A massive crisis hit. To keep up, they started adding cheaper base metals into the coins, and their value collapsed. The economy sank, the barbarians came, they looted the city, and the once mighty empire, for many reasons, fell. By the way, it's a really cool topic. Want an episode on it? Write "I wanna know" about the fall of Rome in the comments. If enough of you ask, we'll make it. Anyway, from Rome, gold spread across the world. But the barbarians didn't attack Byzantium, the eastern part of the Roman Empire, so they steadily managed to expand and preserve their gold reserves through the Middle Ages. Meanwhile, in medieval Europe, gold was barely mined at all. By the 8th century, coin production dropped sharply because the coins were made half from other metals. So from the 8th to the 13th century, people mostly relied on silver. Gold started making a comeback during the time of the Crusades. These coins were needed to trade with the East, where gold was still in use. The Middle Ages were full of alchemists chasing the dream of the philosopher's stone. Scholars and con men alike tried turning other metals into gold. As you know, didn't really work out. One of the most important moments in the history of gold and the world was the Spanish conquest of South America. And way back in 1532, Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro landed in Peru. That marked the beginning of the end for the Inca Empire. First, the Europeans brought measles and smallpox, diseases that killed many locals. And second, they launched attacks on the native tribes, who were seeing firearms for the very first time. Plus, the Inca Empire was already weakened after a cunning and ruthless leader, Atahualpa, seized power. He took the throne by killing his brother, the rightful heir. The Inca fought back hard against the Spanish, defending their people and their land. They had the numbers, but the Europeans were tougher, more ruthless, and more desperate. In one battle, known as the Massacre at Cajamarca, 2,000 of 6,000 Inca warriors were killed. On the Spanish side, only one soldier was injured. The entire European force had just 168 men. And yet, Pizarro managed to capture the Inca leader, Atahualpa. Atahualpa boldly offered a massive ransom for his freedom. He promised to fill the room he was held in with gold, and the next room with twice as much silver. By doing so, he broke an old and strict ban on moving gold out of the city. But what choice did he have? For 3 months, by his command, the Inca brought piles of precious metals to the Spaniards. To the Inca, gold was a gift from the gods. It had deep spiritual meaning, not just wealth. They didn't treat it like money, not even close. So giving away what the gods had once given felt especially painful. The conquistadors took 6 tons of gold and about 12 of silver. Right there, the Europeans melted it all down into gold bars. The locals did everything they were told, but the Spanish still went ahead and executed their leader. For decades, soldiers from the Old World kept wiping out the Inca and Aztec civilizations, all for gold. That sparked a massive cash flow into Spain. The Spanish entered their golden age. They were swimming in wealth, funding multiple wars, but ended up shooting themselves in the foot. So what happened next? In the 16th century, gold imports from the Americas to Europe doubled, and silver tripled. Prices in Spain exploded. Inflation hit hard. After that, things cost 5 times more than before. By the end of the 17th century, 100 years later, Spain's neighbors, the Portuguese, started raking in gold as well. In their expensive colony of Brazil, the biggest gold rush in recorded history suddenly erupted. From the late 1600s, over the next 200 years, the world was hit by 7 major gold rushes. Gold booms hit different corners of the planet, even Russia, China, and Australia. And right now, we're heading together to Brazil. Gold was discovered in the Espinhaco mountain range in Brazil. Word of this rich new site spread like wildfire across the country. And by 1690, crowds of people were rushing in, drawn by the scent of money. They left behind homes, jobs, families. And it wasn't just locals. People came from other countries too. Nearly 1 million people took part in the gold rush. It was like an epidemic. By 1725, half of Brazil's entire population was living in the southeast. The region saw a flood of capital and massive economic change. In 1763, the government even decided to move the capital from the coastal city of Salvador, in the northeast, to Rio de Janeiro. Here, all the money goes to the capital, but there, the capital came to the money. From 1700 to the early 1800s, they mined 1,000 tons of gold. The fever, that wild, restless gold fever, didn't really die down until the 1820s. And then came the most legendary gold rush of them all, the iconic California Gold Rush. It all started by accident. In January of 1848, a sawmill worker named James Marshall heard a scrape coming from his water wheel. Curious, he went to investigate and found small pieces of shiny metal. He wasn't exactly sure what he was looking at, but he knew it might be important and took them to the sawmill owner, John Sutter. This man was the one who had built the first white settlement in the area. Sutter realized it was gold. He desperately wanted to keep it a secret, knowing that crowds would swarm the sawmill the moment they found out. But unfortunately, the news leaked out. As they say, when two people share a secret, it's no longer a secret. Soon, an article appeared in the paper by journalist Sam Brennan. The gold rush began. People from California, neighboring states, and soon from all across the country joined in. Then, people from Latin America, Europe, even Australia and Asia all followed. They traveled thousands of miles chasing the scent of gold. But it wasn't as easy as it sounds. Traveling by water from the East Coast through South America to California could take 5 to 8 months. Many ran into storms, and many lost their lives on the journey from typhus, cholera, and other diseases. But nothing could stop those who wanted wealth. At that time, San Francisco was a small town with only about 1,000 people. But just 23 years after the gold rush began, the population exploded, reaching a staggering 25,000. The city's port was completely filled with abandoned ships. People lived in tents, makeshift huts they built using parts of these ships. Some vessels were even turned into stores, taverns, and warehouses. Sutter's sawmill was soon completely destroyed. His workers had simply abandoned their jobs to chase gold, while waves of new prospectors swarmed his land, claiming territory and helping themselves to his grain, livestock, and anything else they could get their hands on. With the rapid influx of settlers, California began to develop quickly. Roads were built, schools were established, laws were put into place, and agriculture expanded. California became a full-fledged state. But with the rapid growth came serious consequences. So Native Americans were ultimately pushed off, and the environment took a huge hit as mercury was widely used in the gold mining process. So mercury ended up harming nature. By 1855, the number of immigrants had already passed 300,000. Around the same time, the gold rush began to slow down. A total of 4,000 tons of gold was extracted. In today's value, that would be about $193 billion. But here's the reality. Few actually struck it rich. Only 6% of the miners made a profit. The long journey, the equipment, food, and shelter all came at a steep price. So, what happened to the people who started this whole story? John Sutter left the area and received a pension of $250. He tried to get fair compensation from the government for the destruction of his sawmill and settlement, but he wasn't successful. His son, however, went on to found a city here. You've definitely heard of it, Sacramento. The journalist who was the very first to publish news of the gold discovery, Sam Brennan, made a fortune selling supplies to the miners. He eagerly sold picks, pans, and other tools, all at exorbitantly high prices. Another key figure was the fabric merchant, Levi Strauss. With the massive influx of workers, he decided to shift his business and sewed durable pants out of canvas. They sold out quickly, and he moved from fabrics to pants. He founded the company Levi Strauss & Company. Now half the world knows and wears his product, Levi's jeans. It's truly amazing how, in new circumstances, some people lose everything while others gain it all. So, how much precious metal has actually been mined throughout all of human history? Turns out, just a little over 190,000 tons. If we were to melt down every single bit of gold ever mined in the world, the total volume still wouldn't be that massive. You'd end up with a cube roughly 21 meters tall, like a 6-story building. It's definitely worth mentioning that in recent years, more gold is being mined than ever before. Do you know just how much? It's enough to tightly pack a 45 square meter apartment wall to wall, with no room to breathe. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't want that? Silence, of course, is gold. But you're definitely not staying silent, are you? Tell us in the comments where you would spend such an insanely huge amount of money. And here's one more golden rule to remember. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up.